This is our first lesson for the year 2019, and today is the 13th January 2019. We will go on to lesson 2, SD 47.2, the Panchaka Ittha Sutta, the Fives Discourse on the Desirable. This is from A 5.43, Anguttara, the Book of Five, Sutta 43. Now this is a very familiar sutta, very famous, very important sutta, which talks about the nature of prayer. So this is something worth remembering, and more important than that, also practicing. These are the texts we should know as a Buddhist. So once you know this text, then your life has a guide. You know what to do, what not to do, and so on. And that gives you a basis of strength and vision and direction. And that's called faith. Faith means you know it works. You know where you're going, and you're going to do it. When you say you're going to do it, that is diligence, right? So there is the next sutta talks a lot about diligence, the sutta after this. So here again, it's very good to have this kind of idea as you study the sutta or before you study the sutta, to be curious, what kind of background would this be? To whom is the Buddha talking? Of course, the Buddha is also addressing us today. But the occasion that brought this, the Buddha gave this teaching on account of a certain event, certain person, and so on. Here, from this kind of sutta, it's obvious that the people in those days, they believe in chants and magic and so on. Right, whereas the Buddha is saying, whatever you want, you have to work for it, basically. So the key word here is diligence. And of course, as practicing Buddhists, it is good to remember one key teaching, right? Now, if we are not sure, we say, okay, what teaching in Buddhism is the key idea that we must know? There's one simple word. And that word is change, impermanence, okay? So, our life improves not by chance, but by change. That's one thing we can remember, okay? Not by chance, but by change. But in a sense, you can say this little saying also goes with this text, right? So let's look, what does this text say? The sutta translation is on page 27. The Fives Discourse on the Desirable, A 5.43. Originating in Savatthi, then the house lord Anathapindika approached the Blessed One. Having approached the Blessed One, he saluted him and then sat down at one side. Okay, the commentary tells us here Anathapindika has come, but he doesn't ask any questions at all. So the commentary tells us that Anathapindika, as you know, is the chief supporter, the chief donor of the Buddha. So he's quite well aware that in that position is a very privileged position. So if he asks any question, the Buddha is sure to answer. So he felt that he doesn't want to make the Buddha feel obliged to answer. So for that reason, he, as a rule, remains silent whenever he meets the Buddha, because he knows the Buddha is going to teach Dhamma anyway. There are, of course, a couple of rare occasions when he does ask questions. Okay, so here he does not ask anything. So if you look at the next section, to the house lord Anathapindika sitting thus at one side, the Blessed One said this. So notice Anathapindika is totally silent. Right? So all these things you must observe. See, this is where if you study literature, it helps a lot. What is said, what is not said. What is the narrator telling you? Okay, so it is the Buddha who talks to Anathapindika. The commentary tells us that the Buddha scans Anathapindika's mind. So, okay, what is he thinking about that day? What is he wondering about? Okay, so, and then the Buddha will talk about it. So this is one way that the Buddha will respond to the situation. So on this occasion, the thesis, the key ideas given in section 2. House Lord, there are these 5 things that are desirable, beloved, and agreeable, but difficult to obtain in the world. What are the 5? Long life, House Lord, is difficult, is desirable, beloved, and agreeable, but difficult to obtain in the world. Beauty is desirable, beloved, and agreeable, but difficult to obtain in the world. Happiness is desirable, beloved, and agreeable, but difficult to obtain in the world. Fame is desirable, beloved, and agreeable, but difficult to obtain in the world. Heavenly rebirth is desirable, beloved, and agreeable, but difficult to obtain in the world. So this is the oral tradition. So we'll summarize according to our modern scribal tradition. There are 5 things which are desirable but difficult to obtain. They are long life, of course, sir, we would say including health, beauty, happiness, fame, and a heavenly rebirth, or a good rebirth if you like. So this is the thesis, this is the key idea. It's quite a long one actually. Then the Buddha continues, all these 5 things, House Lord, that are desirable, beloved, and agreeable, but difficult to obtain in the world, they are not to be obtained through prayer or through wishing. I say, all right? So when the Buddha says I say, he's stressing it. So here the first is ayachana hetu. Hetu means cause. Ayachana can be translated as supplication, asking for something through prayer. Then the second one is patana hetu. Patana has a meaning of desire, wishing for something. For example, you hear of stories, fairy tales, you have 3 wishes, right? So these are very chancy stuff. So you already can see the real theme is here. The theme is that whatever blessing, whatever good that you want in this world will not come through prayer. But that is a negative statement. It's saying something that cannot happen or should not happen. So it's kind of not finished yet, right? Then the Buddha continues, now the second half. There is something else. The Buddha is giving a rationale why he made this statement. So you can see here, he explains why he makes this statement. Section 4, he says, if these 5 things, House Lord, that are desirable, beloved, and agreeable, but difficult to obtain in the world, could be obtained through prayer or through wishing, who would lack anything here? Right? So that's the rationale. Right? So the Buddha says, these 5 things, long life, beauty, happiness, fame, and heavenly rebirth, if you could just pray for it, you could just wish for it, then everybody would have them. It's no problem at all. Right? So some wise men and people philosophers often joke and they say, if you get all the things that you can pray for, a lot of disasters will happen. For example, if someone quipped that if all the prayers of all the religious people were answered, 3/4 or more of the world, probably the whole world would be gone and there would be no one left on earth because they're all wishing each other dead, Some of these religious people, they're very fanatical and they kind of wish their enemy to be dead. And so on, right? So, I mean, imagine the kinds of things that we wish for, right? So, another saying is that we should not pray for anything that we're not willing to work for, right? So if you want to pray for something, make sure you're willing to work for it, right? And then there is this Greek saying, the gods help those who help themselves, right? I remember as a child, I used to read those classics illustrated. You got two versions. One's the kind of adult story. The other is for children, the junior illustrated. And then at the end of the main story, you have this little short story. They're all in pictures, so it's lovely to read, lovely to look at. It's one of those Greek stories. Here there is this poor farmer. His cart, the wheel has got stuck in the mud and it's not strong enough. He couldn't push the wheel out of the mud and it's stuck in the road. And they started praying. He says, "Oh, Hercules, please come and help me," And the story goes that Hercules did appear. Okay, so Hercules came and said, "Okay, what can I do for you?" He says, "Look, my wheel has got stuck," says the farmer. Then Hercules, there is a thought bubble, says, "Oh dear, these people, small thing like that, they'll summon the gods." So Hercules said, "Have you tried pushing it?" So I said, "Yeah." So we'll try again, So I said, "I'm not very strong," but Hercules said, "You try, you push the wheel." So this farmer pushed the wheel, and then behind the farmer's back, Hercules gently kind of gave the cart a push, and out it came. And the farmer was very happy, very proud of the fact that he himself had pushed the cart out. So I said, "Oh yeah, thank you, Hercules. I didn't actually need your help at all. I could have done it myself." So the moral is, the gods help those who help themselves. So these are very interesting stories which are very instructive for children. That it's very important to be diligent, to make an effort in whatever good things you want in life. Also imagine if you can just wish for it, long life, you get long life. It's going to bring on a kind of economic disaster, right? And then if you want to be beautiful, you just wish it and then you become beautiful, and then beauty has no meaning, And then happiness, you just become happy, then again, what does it mean? And then fame and heavenly rebirth, right? So you can't just wish for these things. So now the Buddha gives the serious teaching. How does a proper Buddhist go his way to gain this kind of blessing? Section 5. For a noble disciple, house lord, who wishes to have long life, it is not proper that he should pray for long life or take delight in doing so. He should rather follow a way of life that is conducive to long life, right? By following such a path, he would obtain long life, be it divine or human, right? So notice in this short line, and this is from Anguttara, the Buddha gives an open statement. Basically, he's saying, okay, you want to be blessed with long life, you must live a life that conduces to that kind of wish. Not by merely wishing, not by praying. So how do you live a long life? So this is up to the teacher to explain. You have to be physically healthy, mentally healthy, spiritually healthy, right? So you have to live a balanced life, balanced eating. So lots of things will come in here. You can just take one line and spend a whole lesson just talking about this. So basically the Buddha is saying you live this life and you become this life. A long life is not something you have. A long life is something that you are, in other words. So there is, on a deeper level, philosophical level, there's a difference between having and being. When we pray, basically, we want to have this, we want to have that. And the irony of the psychology of having is whatever you want to have can never be yours. By the very nature of the grammatical nature of the word have, it means it's not yours. This have is a copula, it's a connecting factor between you and this thing out there. Say, I have I have something. Whenever you say you have something, that something is outside of you. It's not yours in that sense. So you kind of own it. It's in your proximity, or you're wearing it, but it's not really yours in that sense. It's only yours when you use it. Now, if you look at the Buddha's teaching on the blessings of owning things, on economic blessing, right? First the Buddha says, there is the joy of working. Right, you work, if you're happy, you say, wow, see, I put in so many hours of work, and you feel happy because you have worked. And then you earn something. So you know that this is variable because you work for it. Then number 2 is the blessing of using it. You're able to use it. So you're happy because you can use it. So the second aspect is also a blessing, right? So there you are. You can't just have things, right? For example, you buy some really nice stuff, your favorite bottle of spice or something, and you stack them up and you keep them, and then you're so happy you forgot about them. And you say, you suddenly remember, we have this nice stuff. You open your cupboard and you take out the bottle, you say, dear, it's run out date. You can't use it anymore, right? So this is where we sometimes have a house joke. You say, you can have lots of good karma, but you can't always enjoy all of them, I mean, you can have this good karma, all this nice stuff that you want, but because you're not mindful, you can't use them, they run out of date, Or worse, you have all those nice stuff, but you fall sick, or you're not healthy enough, you can't eat them. So good karma alone is not enough. Because good karma is past good karma. They come and they bless you. You must have the present conditions to be able to enjoy that good karma. So in a sense, when you talk about good karma, it's something you have from the past. And then the present conditions is what you are. Right? So when you combine the two, you are happy. Right? So this is the meaning when the Buddha says in the Dhammapada, contentment is the greatest wealth. Santuti parama labha. Because if you're contented, you say, I have enough. You're happy, right? You have become, or that whatever you wish for has become you. It is part of you forever, so to speak, right? So that's the meaning here, right? You cannot really have things. Nothing in this world is yours, right, in that sense. You can't take it with you, right? Except your karma. But when you work for it, it becomes yours, so to speak. So the next thing is beauty, right, number 6. For a noble disciple, house lord, who wishes to have beauty, it is not proper that he should pray for beauty or take delight in doing so. He should rather follow a way of life that is conducive to beauty. By following such a path, he would obtain beauty, be it divine or human. Notice, be it divine or human. Human beauty, divine beauty. So here, what do we mean by beauty? Right? I mean, of course, people say, someone looks appealing. That's only external beauty. And again, it's from a certain angle, and it is very subjective. For example, in India, probably if you look nice and chubby, these women are supposed to have some part of their stomach hanging out, and they show it, so it shows that they are healthy. But in China, it's supposed to be slim and so on. So you have different visions of beauty. And again, you can be beautiful, but you're not happy, you're angry, and you look mean, and you don't look beautiful. And then what about divine beauty, right? So of course this is, we're talking about a different level of existence. But you can say in meditation, you reach the level of loving kindness and compassion. And that is also divine beauty. So when we meet some elderly people, you find they look so peaceful and calm. We like to use the word fatherly. But it's because they are very kind, they are at peace with themselves. So they exude that sense of beauty we are attracted to. So beauty is very subtle. You can't really, there's no way of defining it. There's definitely no way of measuring it. So there are some things which cannot be measured, which are beyond the scientific domain. So love is one of them, beauty is another one. So these are things that we have to maintain, so to speak. We have to cultivate within ourselves and then maintain that kind of quality. Again, it has to do with health. It has to do with keeping the precepts and so on. All right, so that's number 2. Number 3 is happiness, right? So the whole section is repeated. For a noble disciple, house lord who wishes to have happiness, it is not proper that he should pray for happiness or take delight in doing so. He should rather follow a way of life that is conducive to happiness. So by following that kind of lifestyle, he'll find true happiness, right? The word for happiness is sukha, right? Sukha includes comfort, includes good health too. So in a sense, you find all these 5 are interrelated, interconnected. So happiness is not merely material happiness, but also a sense of a psychological spaciousness, happiness in that sense. So here again, in a sense, you cannot ask for happiness. Like love, you cannot ask for love. You want love, you have to give love. So to happiness, if you want to be happy, you have to show happiness to others. Then you find you're truly happy. I mean, it doesn't make sense for someone to be happy alone and everyone else not happy, right? You can't do that unless it's a different kind of situation. And for example, in the Dhammapada 197, 198, 199, the Buddha tells those feuding Kolyas and Sakyas who are fighting over the waters of the Rohini, he says, you should not show any hatred. In a world where there's a lot of hatred, you must be free from hatred. Among those who have hatred, you should be hate-free. Among those who are afflicted with disease, you should be healthy. And among those who are restless, you should be restlessness-free. You should be happy, right? So here, in other words, you get out of that situation. It is not being selfish in that sense, right? So happiness, like love, is something you have to show others. So this is the spirit of dana, the spirit of giving, right? In this sense, we can say the highest gift is the gift of the Dharma, because you can teach people many things. You can solve people's problems in many ways, but those are incidental. Whereas if you teach Dharma, you are teaching the basic idea and principle that underlies all our life. You begin to understand cause and effect, conditions, right? So you begin to know how to solve your own problems. In that sense, the Dharma is the greatest gift we can give others. So perhaps that is why you find that if you are, say, translating suttas, you are teaching suttas, you find you're very happy in that sense, because wow, you find all these teachings are so beautiful, and the Buddha is giving us all these wonderful teachings, and you just can't keep these things for yourself. You want to share it with others so that this joy, this goodness spreads, and it is evident, it is clear all around us. All right, then you have number 4. fame, right? So here, this is another thing which people in the world love. So the Buddha says, if you want fame, you should not pray for it or wish for it. You should live a life that will attract fame. Then you deserve that fame. What is fame? Fame is something what people attribute to you, how people see you, respect you, and so on. I mean, you can be famous or people don't respect you, then you find it's not worth it, right? So here again, it is not something that you have, it is something that you are. So you have to live that life that make you famous because people respect you, they know you for your goodness, they know you for the blessings you are able to give to them, and so on, right? And finally, this rebirth in heaven. So here, of course, we're talking about a layman here. How do we have a heavenly rebirth? Again, here you have to practice keeping the precepts and calming your mind. And then when you do that, then when the time comes, you pass away very happy and you have happy thoughts, then you are reborn in the heavenly state. Now these are incomplete teachings, by the way, right? So if you study the suttas very deeply, you say, okay, the Buddha is saying all these nice and wonderful things, but there's something missing here. What the Buddha is not saying is because the Buddha doesn't want to give everything all at one time. This is probably early Anathapindika's life with the Buddha. You can be reborn in a heavenly state. Question number one is, how long can you remain there, right? Number two is, will you be happy there? Totally happy, right? Number three is, what happens after that heavenly respite, that time you spend in heaven, you know? For example, we know from the stories of the lives of the devas, any devas, you know, they know when their life is going to end. And of course, they don't die like us. It's more like you're watching this movie and suddenly you're running out of battery. Right? You know, some countries, their phones are such, someone would tell me, oh, sorry, I'm running out of battery. I can't talk to you already on Facebook, for example. So once you run out of battery, zap, everything goes. So these gods are like that. You can say they run out of their battery, their heavenly battery is gone and they fall from that state. So they know this, they know, oh dear, my battery power is running down low, it's going to be zero very soon. And they know this, there are signs they can notice. And can you imagine if you know that you're going to die? You're not going to be happy. You know? And they say, oh no, I'm going to lose all these things, I'm going to miss all these heavenly delights. So they actually die miserable. The gods die miserable. So when they do that, we know very well, but a law of karma, they be reborn in unhappy states. So that's how they fall from heaven through the snakes and ladders. In this case, the snake, they go to the snake's mouth down, straight to hell. It's a kind of, this is not the game of Monopoly, it's the game of samsara. It's not go to jail, it is straight to hell, right? And they're stuck there. This is if they do not practice the Dhamma. However, if we constantly reflect on impermanence, and then we attain stream winning, and we are reborn in the heavens as a stream winner, you'll never fall into the subhuman planes. Even if you're reborn in the human world, you'll be reborn in very good conditions, where you can study and practice the Dhamma somehow. You know, I'm quite amazed to hear people living in some odd neck of the world, they're able to go for long retreats, so these Vipassana retreats for 10 days, you know, and so on. And they're serious meditators. So you find that although they're living in some place where you don't normally have, you know, Dhamma classes like here, they're able to practice the Dhamma in a serious way. So we get this kind of condition if you are the stream winner. So the stream winner is happy wherever he goes, because he already has this idea of impermanence in his mind, and he sees impermanence everywhere, and that idea, that view connects with reality. So when your view connects with reality, that is right view. It's not something you imagine, which is unreal, right? So he will not fall into the subhuman planes. So in that sense, he'll be happy in the heavenly world too. So the teaching ends there. Then the Buddha mentions 3 verses, which I call the diligence verses. Ayung arogyang wanang sagang ucca kulinang ratio patayantena ulara aparapara. Long life, good health, beauty, heaven, high birth. For those who hope or who pray for delights so great ever and again. Okay, this verse is not complete. Then you go on to the second verse. Appamadam pasangsanti punya kiryasu pandita appamato ubo ate adiganhati pandito. The wise men, the wise praise diligence in the making of merit. On account of diligence, the wise benefit both ways. So this is the key word here, diligence. Okay? Ditte dhamme cha yo atto yo chatto samparayiko atta visamaya dhiro panditoti pawucchati. There is the benefit here and now, and the benefit in the hereafter too. The steadfast who attains the goal is said to be wise. Right, so we're talking about happiness now, happiness to come. So the key word here is diligence, appamada. Now this appamada is quite interesting. It's actually a negative word. If you translate literally, it is non-heedlessness. It's quite a mouthful, so it's not very English, right? So, but appamada, that's what it is. Pamada means heedlessness. It's not very helpful to translate as non-diligence. It is actually heedlessness, okay? Then if you look at pamada, you have pa, a strengthening prefix, plus mada. Mada has to do with intoxication, right? Kind of being lost in the world. So pamada is a kind of mental intoxication, delusion. Is just the opposite. It cancels it. Apamada, non-heedlessness. So the good English word would be heedfulness, diligence. Diligence means right action. Right action of body, right action of mind. It includes right effort. In fact, what is the one that you need to practice? That is diligence. And diligence is the most important of Buddhist efforts. If you talk just about one effort that you need to do, and there is a sutta on just this point, and we look at page 25, you will see there is the Hattipada Sutta. Here, the sutta says that of all the footprints in the world, the largest is the elephant's footprint, right? So whatever other animals that exist, including humans, all their footprints would fit into this adult elephant's footprint. So that's the analogy, the simile. Even so, says the Buddha, whatever good that you can do or have done or will do, all that good comes from diligence, effort, right? So in other words, goodness doesn't come by chance. You have to do something about it. You have to put in the effort, show your loving kindness, do the right thing, avoid the wrong thing. There are many ways of saying it. For example, the Dhammapada says to avoid, not to do negative or bad things, right? So that's the practice of non-doing, the precepts, for example, the 5 precepts. Then number 2 is do. By the way, not doing also is diligent. You have to really make it's the effort of non-effort, if you like. So you have to refrain from not killing, for example, right? And then there is the action of action, right? You cultivate mindfulness, loving kindness as a second part, right? And the third part is you cultivate wisdom. So all this diligence is involved there, right? Now, so if you look at this page 23, there's another sutta there. Ubayata Sutta, the discourse on the twin benefits, IT 23. Okay. Oh, by the way, the Hatipada Sutta mentioned just now is S45.140. It's all there in the book. Right, so here Ubayata Sutta, Iti Vuttaka 23, is on diligence. Okay, it's a short sutta on diligence. This was indeed spoken by the Blessed One, spoken by the Arahat, worthy one. Thus have I heard. One thing, bhikshus, when cultivated, often done, keeps on fulfilling twin benefits. That is, here and now, and in the hereafter. What is that one thing? What is that quality you must have that blesses you in this life and also blesses you in the life to come? Answer, what is that one thing? Line 3, diligence in wholesome states. Of course, diligence is always understood to be in the wholesome states. The Pali is appamado kusalesu dhammesu. Okay? Here, dhammesu comes from the word dhamma, we translate as states, usually mental states. But it is broader than that, not just mental state. Mental state in the sense of that is your motivation. Dhamma here is very broad, so it also includes your speech and your physical action, so body, speech and mind. Okay, diligence in guarding the 3 doors of karma, and using these 3 doors of karma for blessed things, for happy things, for good things. This one thing, bhikshus, when cultivated, grown, keeps on fulfilling the twin benefits or spiritual goals here and now and in the hereafter. And the sutta closes with 2 verses. Okay, so this is Iti Vuttaka, so then the teaching is given in verses. Appamadang pasang santi punya kiriya supandita appamato ubo atte adi ganhati pandito. The wise praise diligence in the making of merit. On account of diligence, the wise gains benefit both ways. This is layman's teaching. So language is the old language of the common people, if you like. The word merit is used. Okay. Now, the pre-Buddhists talk of merit, doing things right, blessings, and so on. Right. So the Buddha continued to use the word punya, but he broadens the meaning. Okay. So punya not only is doing things right, not only does it gives you blessings of this world, but it also prepares you for the next world to be free from samsara itself, right? So on account of diligence, the wise gains benefit both ways. Now, so the next paragraph talks about both ways. The next verse. Ditte dhamme cha yo atto, yo chatto samparayiko, atta bisammayo dhiro, panditoti pavuchatiti. There is the benefit here and now, and the benefit in the hereafter too. The steadfast who attains the goal is said to be wise. Right, so here we have a definition of the word wise. Pandito. Who is wise? The wise person is the one who lives happily now and his future life also is happy. It's like having savings for your life, having some kind of security, insurance, if you like. But here, spiritual, in the spiritual sense. So here it is diligence by putting in effort to live the truly good life, to be happy in mind, speech and body. And when you do that, you are truly happy. You don't have to pray for that, and you are happy. So it's not something that is away from you, right? So there you are. That's the reflection on the Buddha's teaching to Anathapindika on the 5 good things in life. You don't pray for them, you work for them. All right, so that's just nice. We finished one sutta. Right, so any questions? Then I think I should put a kind of codicil, kind of footnotes. Despite the fact we say don't pray, you find most people who don't listen to suttas, who have not heard suttas, they know the word prayer. Prayer means a lot to them. So in a sense, we can talk about what is Buddhist prayer. I remember I wrote a whole book entitled Buddhist Prayer. Some teachers, some scholars, they have been very careful. They say, certain words you should not use, And one of the words is pray. I think words are just words, They're like tools. I mean, it's rather silly if you say, don't use knives, they're very sharp, Right, so you have nothing to cut with. It's just that you got to be very careful how you use knives. Right? So when we say, it's nothing wrong in saying pray, but what do we mean when we say pray? What does a Buddhist mean when they say pray? Buddhist prayer is different from the prayers in other religions. Definitely, that's the case, There is this very funny story I heard once. There was this monk who was meditating in the hall, and this tourist comes along and asks the temple boy, he says, what is the monk doing? And then this boy, he kind of explains very simply, he says, the monk is praying. It's something that the tourist understands. So the tourist says, that's interesting. It seems to be, what is he praying for? Then the boy is quite intelligent. He says, he's not praying for anything. He's not praying for anything. He said, then what is he doing then? He said, he's sitting there and he's happy. Okay? So, of course, this tourist does have some problem trying to understand how someone can pray, ask for nothing, and yet be happy. So, in a sense, that's Buddhist prayer. Okay? Of course, on a more serious note, when the Buddhists pray, the Buddhists will say, may I be well and happy, right? So you find that there is a tone of prayer there, may I, see? It is a kind of wish. So that's a perfectly good Buddhist prayer, may I be well and happy. When by saying that you build up this joyful state of mind, then you are diligent in that sense. Of course, we don't stop there. Of course, if you stop there, then of course you're being selfish, then it's not very good prayer. Then you say, may my family be well and happy, my friends and people I know, even my enemies, may they be well and happy. If they're happy, then they won't be my enemies, they won't be bad. So when you do that, you exude this joy, right? So that's Buddhist prayer. So Buddhist prayer is a kind of expression of joy and selflessness. That's another way you can put it, right? Yes, Buddhists do pray, but we pray differently from the way that the God believers pray. So what the Buddha is talking about here is ayachana. See? So we have a problem of language. When we say ayachana, it's very clear. It means supplicating. We don't supplicate, right? We do not, for example, say, "Oh Buddha, please enlighten me." It's wrong. It shows that we do not know the teaching, really, right? Rather, we might say, "Oh, may I be wise," right? Yeah, that makes sense. You become wise yourself, right? Sometimes in the commentaries, you do get descriptions as if it's the Buddha who is kind of bringing awakening to the people. For example, I was reading the commentary on those 500 young monks, who renounced after the Rohini incident. I think the translator got the Pali wrong, because in Pali you have these causative verbs. It's something like the Buddha made them stream winners, and then the Buddha made them arahats. Because this you got to really know the Dhamma to know Pali too. So they translate it that way, as if the Buddha is causing the awakening. But if you look very carefully, what the Pali is saying, the Buddha created the conditions such that this young men, they were so filled with samvega, spiritual urgency. In other words, they saw impermanence very clearly. They became stream winners. In the sense, in a manner of speaking, the Buddha made them stream winners. In a manner of speaking, pariyayena. But then again, it's not directly that the Buddha conferred stream winning on them, not at all. The Buddha created the conditions for them to attain that level. And then same thing with the arahathood. And the Buddha went on told them another story, the Kunala Jataka. It's a very beautiful story, and they listen to it, they feel great calmness, and they became arahats. Well, in a sense, the Buddha created the conditions for them, but the Buddha did not make them arahats, in that sense. I mean, it is as simple as this. Let's say you're hungry, and then someone cooks all this nice, good food for you. And the cook would not say, "Well, I've cooked this nice food for you. You don't have to do anything. I'll eat it for you too." I mean, that's not going to help. So the Buddha is like a cook. He prepares all these nice dishes and so on. He says, "Okay, here's your food, but you got to eat it yourself." That is diligence. You have to take the food yourself in order to benefit from it all. All right? Okay. So I think that fits the time just nice. All right, so anything else you want to ask?
You said just now about Buddhist prayer, and this mindset, that when we're praying, actually we're keeping our mind pure.
Yeah, that's one thing, yes. We call it by displacement. In other words, you think of the Buddha, you think of the Dhamma, you think of the Arahats, then you push away negative thoughts. Yes, that's one way, yeah. Yes? Yeah, so in doing so, you find you don't think negative things, so you're happy in that sense, right? And there is a Dhammapada saying, if your hand has no cut, you can carry poison, right? In other words, no one can hurt you with bad karma in that sense. Yeah. They will not affect you negatively or permanently, yeah. There are so many suttas. Just the Pali suttas alone, you can spend time discussing them, talking them, and there are a lot of things you can come out from all these teachings. And these are things that really help us, that guide us along the path to awakening. Okay? Okay, so
Itta itself means desirable.
Itta, yes, it means something wished for. Yeah, desirable, itta. It comes from it is an abstract noun, it comes from the verb ichati, to wish for. There is a blessing, but it's spoken by Pachika Buddha. Ichitang patitang tumhang kipameva samejatu. Whatever you wish for, may it quickly come to pass. Right? So here it seems to contradict it here. Whatever you wish for, right? Of course, that is a kind of simplified teaching for the common people. So whatever you wish for, may it quickly come to pass. But when you put this sutta, which you have just studied on Itta Sutta, that means whatever you wish for, you have to put in diligence. That's the meaning. So it doesn't really contradict. You have to interpret it in terms of the other suttas, so they don't go against each other, right? Okay, so we'll close here for today. Today we have reflected on the Itta Sutta, on how diligence is a very important part of our life, making the effort we can take charge of our lives, that whatever blessing that we wish for is a matter of working for it, matter of directing our mind to it. Of course, it's not something always transactional, but it is also something that is the result of the way that we think and feel, the kind of life that we live, and that will bring these blessings that we are talking about, long life, beauty, and so on. So these are teachings that empower us, teachings that tell us we can do it ourselves, teaching of self-reliance. Reflecting in this way is very good karma. By the power of such karma, may we be blessed with wisdom and strength, and especially the courage to aspire to at least become stream winners in this life itself. Meantime, may we be blessed with all the blessings of a good life, so that we can practice the Dhamma in accordance with the Dhamma, and may our family and loved ones to be well and happy. And those who are practicing the Dhamma to reach the path in this life itself. And those who are lost and having difficulties, may they see the right path in this life itself too. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.